All right, it is 19 minutes gone past five, and you are tuned into the marketplace. And if you just tuned in, and yes, you're going to be wondering what exactly we're going to be talking about today on the marketplace. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Trust me, I'm not the only one having here. Well, I have my guest virtually in the person of engineer Kunle Akin Laguda, beg your pardon. And he's a senior project manager, Egbin Power PLC. But today on Marketplace, we'll be talking about scaling electricity meters across Nigeria. And when you think about uh, how it is been interesting to try and get your meters, I'm sure you want to get in here and figure out all the things that you need to do. How are we going to be having meters so we're not having to be paying, you know, all those extras for those who are still paying in that, who are still in that space? Well, I want to say a pleasant evening to you, Engineer Kunle. I trust your day has been good so far.
Yes, yes. I've had a really interesting Monday. Most Mondays are. I wish there was a midweek break on Wednesdays so can break the pressure. But
Are
it's
you
it only gets higher
serious?
from there.
Oh my word. And
It
yeah, I
gets
was
higher
thinking I
from
was the
there.
only one did who didn't really feel any angst when it comes to Mondays. I just enjoy Monday, but I'm
Oh
always
well,
already looking to the weekend.
yes. It's just that everything is nice in small doses.
I know, right? Small doses indeed. Like us, you as well can join in the conversation on the marketplace. Come through with your thoughts, your questions, because I'm sure you'll be having some questions that you want to ask at Jeff Cole this evening. So come through, and I'm sure that he'll do his best to address whatever questions that you have. All right, let's get into the conversation proper this time around. And well, let's actually start with the MOU that is out there to MOU to procure 1.4 million prepaid meters. What do you make of this deal? Because I've seen it. It looks great. But share your thoughts on this, please.
Mm. Well, like I tell people, any addition right now, any
Right.
improvement whatsoever, no matter how small, is a step in
Mm-hmm.
the right direction. We are
Absolutely.
we are way behind where we should be
Mm-hmm.
in all parts of the power value chain. Talking about generation, transmission, and of course distribution that most people relate with. We
Mm-hmm.
have a lot to catch up with as a country. But if you look at it in this way, that prepaid meters are a big challenge for most people, and
Right.
the industry also complains about metering because that will
Mm.
help us in stemming some of the challenges we face. It's a good thing to add at least 1.4 meters. I wish there were more. 1.4 meters is a drop in the bucket, you know,
Mm-mm. But
because
well, yes.
Nigeria, they said we have a gap of about seven plus million. I'm sure that is even understated as it is, because I'm
Mm.
sure Lagos alone might account for 7 million. I'm not saying that we have a gap of 7 million in Lagos. What I mean is that Lagos alone will have maybe 7 million customers, if not more. And that's the challenge. We are way behind. We should be doing this 1 million there, 500,000 there every year, every other year,
Right.
constantly. So and it's not going to stop. And once you even meet up with the gap, you have to continue to do it so that you can
So
continue
that
to
it can continue to.
meet up with the demand because it's growing every day. There
Right.
is the increase as population increases, as the economy expands, manufacturing businesses, there's going to be more demand. So
I
we have to
agree with you on
keep,
that.
keep adding more. So it's a good
Mm.
thing.
Okay. Now that you put it that way, that is actually good to know. However, my question really is, why are we even having to sign this MOU with the Chinese manufacturers? Is it that we can't
Yeah.
have this done here? Because I've been made to believe that we can actually manufacture this meters here that have them produced home locally. Wouldn't that reduce the amount that we have to spend and then the time factor as well? and then everybody can now say, okay, I have my meter,
Mm.
or you can now
Mm-hmm.
say within a certain period, maybe like you said, probably the whole of Lagos would have been sorted, or the whole of Ogun, or the whole of Edo, certain states will have been
Yeah,
sorted
yeah,
because
yeah.
you have the manufacturing company here, and then they can just, distribute it as it's being made. But why are we having to go outside to procure this?
Okay, so the question is in two parts, if I hear you correctly. So the first
Right.
part is why are we going outside?
Yes.
Um, the truth is this particular procurement is World Bank funded, and I
Oh,
am
okay.
aware that there's about $500 million put into this for this
Mm,
1.4 plus meters, and the procurement's being managed by the foreign entity that the sponsor actually, and so it's an
okay.
international procurement. And there's no way, coming to your second question, there's no way a Nigerian company that is manufacturing meters can compete with the economics of scale of China. So if it's an international
Mm,
bid,
mm,
people that are in the market producing in
mhm.
the hundreds of thousands maybe on a daily basis are able to beat out your price. And it's also coming down
Okay.
to power. If our guys in Nigeria have better power solution,
Mm.
perhaps they will have less cost in producing their
Okay.
meters. And most of these things are
Interesting.
actually being imported. We're actually importing from China, for example. Most of the parts are from China, and they're assembling here, just like we do with many other things, cars and other things
Yeah.
that we're manufacturing. So it is easier for a multinational or multilateral agency like the World Bank to just buy directly from source, at that scale. So it makes market sense. But this is not our money going in directly, even if it's a loan or a grant. They are the
Okay.
one managing it.
From start to finish, they're the ones trying to see how we'll be able to make good use of it. Okay. Have the gremlins got your network? Engineer Kunle, you still there?
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Okay. Now I can hear you. Welcome back.
Oh, okay. Okay. So I guess the network people are doing their thing.
The
I
gremlins
hope
don't
it's not
want
a
you to
power
share
glitch
their
where they
thoughts.
are.
I really hope not. Seeing that that's what we're talking about. But yes,
Yes, yes. It might
please.
just be one base station somewhere got off its
That's gone
diesel
off.
supply, and my phone has quickly
Mm.
find another base station
Base
supplying.
station.
Yeah, that's for telecoms now. Quickly connect
Right.
to another base station, and that's a
Mm.
glitch in that process. So these things happen. It's technology. It's not perfect, but we try.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
So
You
while
know,
I'm waiting, okay, go ahead.
yeah,
You wanted
and
to
I want
share.
to add, that
Okay.
local manufacturers are needed because in the long term, you can always
Right.
continue to procure from outside. But catching up with your gap, you first need to like get in the volumes. You know,
Okay.
our local production is getting there, but it cannot catch up with the backlog that we need to catch up with. So once that is done, where the hope is that in the future we are able to meet up with the continuous need to replace meters. Meters expire, or should I
All
say, they have a
right.
lifespan of about 10 years. You will need to
Okay.
replace at some point, and then more people will need to buy new meters. So you can continue to provide
Mm.
that supply. But to catch
Okay.
up, we need bulk.
That's actually good to know. Because growing up in the 80s, 90s, you would see
Mhm.
those humongous meters, and then you're not seeing
The
this
black
ones.
ones, the black ones
Yes, those.
that had the
Oh my,
spinning metal disc that you see
you
just
know
rolling.
this, but you could
Mhm.
actually count, and then they'll come read it. You yourself, it was easier for you to just realize, okay, so this is how much you used or consumed when it comes to your electricity. But how you know what? We'll get to how easy is it to monitor and know what it is that we're consuming. But I want to know, how would you describe the meter manufacturers in Nigeria? Because I know that you said that we'll get there, but is it going to take longer, or is it going to take a shorter time? Seeing that, yes, we have to, for the bulk that we need right now, we need to get all of them from outside, most especially from China. And but long run, are we going to constantly have to reach out to them, or are we going to also see how we can invest in the meter manufacturing companies here? You're muted.
Yes, I think I'm back now. I'm having to put another device on.
Okay, welcome back.
Thank you. Apologies on that.
No, no, it's fine. So did you catch my question?
You were asking about the
I was
manufacturer
asking,
themselves.
yes, seeing
Yes.
that now we're actually getting from China because we want a
Mhm.
bulk quantity and we want to have it fast here, but we still know that long term we eventually still need some more. So how are we going to deal with that? Are we also going to see how we can
Mhm.
reinvest here?
Yeah, we have to. In the long term, we have to for our own good.
Mm,
Of course, it's not going. When Nigeria doesn't have the excess dollars and forex to keep purchasing from abroad. So, if you look
okay.
at it this way, I think I'm logged in on the second device.
Ooh, okay. So you have to mute one. Thank
Yes.
you.
Is it better
Okay,
now?
better. Thank you.
Okay, good. So I realized that many of the companies in Nigeria actually the meter, the prepaid meter in my apartment where I live,
Hmm.
is actually from a Nigerian manufacturer, and it's
Awesome.
been working fine. So it does good work. It's based on radio frequency technology, and
Okay.
buy your tokens, put it in, and it's really
Hmm.
good. So I'm
Mm.
impressed that it was assembled by a Nigerian company, and then to know that we have many of them. I'm aware that Vice President Shetima actually inaugurated one of the plants in Anambra late last
Right.
year. So we're having an increase in the number of manufacturing facilities across the country. And this is necessary in the long term because we shouldn't even be thinking of ourselves. We should think about the sub-region as a whole. We should be thinking of in the long term when we solve our own problem, we can help other people.
Hmm.
And of course that also increases jobs, also increasing business opportunities for Nigeria.
Right.
So the businesses that are going into this are that guaranteed long-term viability. That's the truth. Just that it's capital intensive, it's expensive.
Hmm.
So if we're not buoyant and we get help from abroad, that's
Okay.
just right now.
All right. I like the fact that we're getting help, but at the same time, we're also going to see how we're going to make good use of that help. And when I say good use of the help, I know earlier on we were talking about having 7 million uh, meters as at what we estimated, right? Saying that since we can get the we're going to be regarding the deal, right? It's going to be providing for 7 million meters, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is this is
The
this is
deal
this what
right
we're
now,
hoping to
the
work
deal
with?
right now is 1.43 million. That's 1,430 thereabout million meters. We have a deficit of 7.1 based on the current estimates of prepaid
Okay.
meter. But I can tell you for free that 7.1 is not our gap. It's definitely more. Maybe that's what they've been able to, shall I say, enumerate. We're able to
Mm,
count until we know this number. We might not have all
mm,
the data. But you also know there is growth. Like I said, there's a year-on-year growth of 9.5%
right.
expected of that demand for meters. That is the number of new customers being registered, the number of new homes, new facilities and utilities.
Okay, so Mike, here's what I'm also trying to understand. Is it that the meters are too expensive? That's why we can't have the amount that we need so that we just close the gap all at once? Because
Mm,
just like you said, we have manufacturers here, right?
yeah,
And then we already have the one the World Bank is also facilitating. So can't we
correct.
just find a way to bridge this gap that we're having at the moment, as opposed to waiting for long hours or a long period before, okay, so let's do this first tranche when I have another second batch, and then people will be having their bills estimated and not really
Right.
be able to um, have an exact amount on what it is they're spending when it comes to the electricity.
So yes, estimated billing is a very big issue. I think I've been a victim myself a few times, and
Okay.
I can relate when people are really upset. I was
Mm,
upset when the bills keep changing
mm,
every other month, the numbers just change. And like,
Especially if you're
if you
on
look
band
at
A and need a
the
band
house,
aid.
I think lovely, lovely. It's if you're talking about band A, we're all going to get to band A eventually. Everybody wants 24-hour power, right? We all
Right.
want 24-hour power. So just be prepared wherever you are
For
in
the
Nigeria that
cost.
at the end of the day, you're going to be paying band A prices. That's where we
Okay.
are all going. So that we may not be able to provide 24-hour power to everybody right now, but those
Okay.
that can get 24-hour power will start paying their
Eh,
share.
okay.
So eventually we'll get that. And to be honest, when I compare these figures that we're talking about, it's not expensive as it is elsewhere. I was just
Mm,
speaking with a friend. I think I had the opportunity of visiting the UK earlier in the year, and
right.
the prices for power is no joke. By the time I
It really is not
compared
a joke.
20 something, maybe just under 30 pence for each kilowatt, that's minus the statutory charge that we also have here on a monthly. You are going to
Okay.
be talking about at the pounds of today, about 500 naira. They are paying 500 naira per kilowatt hour. We are paying 200 plus, and we are still
Okay.
complaining. I'm not saying that it's
Uh,
different.
engineer, engineer Kunle, I'm sure you don't want us to get into that
We
conversation
will
of
get there. We
where
will get there at
where
some point.
our money is and where their
We
money
will tell
is.
us, we have to tell ourselves the truth.
No, but if we're going to tell ourselves the truth, we're not earning in those
Correct.
currencies.
Correct.
No,
But
and we
power is not
know
cheap.
how
It's the
much
same
their
everywhere.
currency and the things that get subsidized and the things that he can
Mm,
get.
mm.
So there's
True,
that to also consider. So if we're
true,
having to
true.
pay as we go for the power
Mm,
that we get,
true.
another conversation entirely. That's
Yeah.
I'm sure half of Nigeria or half I know it's not just Lagos that are listening to Smooth. So you can imagine some people from out of country as well that will call in and tell you, you know what, let's not even go there. But let me,
but
you
when
were
the power
saying,
is constant, I'm sure we will pay. And when other
right.
things get better, there is constant power, other parts of the economy will feel it and things will
Mm,
improve. The thing is,
mm,
it's a catch-22 with power. You
okay.
complain about power not being available, whereas you need power to make all the other things work for power to work. Because, like, they're talking about meters now. For you to
Right.
produce meters, you need electricity. So if you don't have the electricity for manufacturing the parts that you need for electricity, I mean, some people are
Mm,
manufacturing transformers. We're still importing other things. There are still
yes,
meters, not
indeed.
just the meters in your house. There's also meters that are used by the transmission companies, bigger ones, that used to meter even the
Mm,
gen codes. That when power is
okay.
coming out from the generating entity, there are
Then
meters
it
being used to
breaks it
measure that.
down.
So if you were thinking about the whole value chain, we have to, how will I put it, do the extra work of preparing our mind to
Okay.
pay for value we need. I guess many Nigerians expect that most of the things are right. Yes, it is. And to be
Mm-hmm.
honest, I think I'm one of the Nigerians that will say that I haven't gained so much from the government. So yes, if power for energy is not like gain, it's something. Yes, but for things to work, because the government cannot continue to fund our lifestyle. Let me put it that way. The government is not a sugar daddy. A friend once told us that
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, a friend
Interesting.
once told me that, oh no, I'm quoting I think it's Abubakar Suleiman, the MD of Sterling Bank now, that he mentioned one time
All right.
that I heard that it's how you treat your country. You're not treated like a parent that will take care of all your bills, but take care of a
Right.
child that you need to provide and help support grow and grow. So
Okay.
if we all tend to play our part and not just expect the government to do everything for you, things will
Right.
work better in Nigeria. Many of us have a lack of ownership into the realities of what's going on. We
Okay.
are entitled. Yes, the people before created an idea that Nigeria is so rich that we could afford to spend and blow money on anything we like. I remember
But
somebody in
now
the
we're in
70s.
debt.
Yes, now we're in debt because we're not as rich as we think.
Mm,
I remember a
mm,
head of state back in the 70s, early
right.
70s, said something that Nigeria's problem is not money, is what to spend it on. Maybe if then we are building power plants and building factories for creating meters, maybe we won't be in this mess. But they were basically
Mm,
sharing doji money, you know,
mm.
sharing money with civil
Shipping it
servants.
to play
Yes,
beautiful
keeping it. I heard,
places.
of course, if you hear the
I
songs that
I don't
they are
I, I
talking
don't
about,
know anything about it's just speculation. It's just things I heard. But I don't
well,
know anything about it.
those things happened. There's no need to lie about or hide behind the thing that they happened. We were wasteful. We were spendthrifts. People are
Okay.
importing champagne for parties, branded champagne. People are using helicopters to hop around the country. I've done a bit of research and history about Nigeria to understand how we got
Okay.
to this place. And that really
Mm.
helps me have the mindset of, okay, how can we then fix? But if we don't know how we got into this mess, you would always think that
You can't know
somebody
how to
was just
fix it.
mean. Yes, we can't know how to fix it. So we got
Mm.
here by deliberate negligence or indeliberate in many cases, but maybe
Mm.
ignorance. Negligence and ignorance by the
Okay.
people or persons in power. Because other countries have gone through these phases and they fixed themselves. We just need to wake up and fix what needs to be fixed.
Okay. We need to wake up and fix what needs to be fixed. And that is quote by Engineer Kunle. Okay, you know what? Let's even talk about this one now that I know that the presidential mentoring initiative has this aim of at least within 2 to 3 years be able to meter um at least a major degree. Let me say half of Nigeria because that's why are
Yeah,
you laughing? Half of
I'm laughing.
Nigeria is what
I'm laughing because I've read that presidential metering initiative agenda, or the aims, objective. I'm a project
yeah.
manager, so you must set out an objective before you start a
Right,
project.
right,
And the reason is because you are about to give a timeline. I realize that's what many Nigerian leaders do. They just give us a timeline that they don't intend or know how they're going to achieve. I remember seeing
mm,
a newspaper of Shehu Shagari promising that we 24-hour power in 1980, by 1986. He was not in power by 1986, and we didn't have 24-hour power. And to today, almost 40 years after, we still don't have power. So it's not easy just making targets and putting on realistic targets. That's why you do business case. That's why you have to know what your strengths and weaknesses are, know what you can achieve, and in a
right.
measurable timeline. So I would say that yes, it is achievable for the
Mm,
gap that we have, the 7.1 that they've enumerated with the plans that they have. Yes, they might be able to, eventually, meet up
right.
with that gap, but not in 2 to 3 years.
Okay. Ade
Let's be realistic.
here, Ade, I have a WhatsApp message here, and Ade says, comparing with neighboring Republic of Benin, they are paying high too. So what exactly is your question? I'm lost. Maybe you could shed some more light on that. Then Ikedia says, Ikedia says, common refinery, we haven't repaired. It is 24-hour power supply that we're going for. Indeed, Bob the Builder will build it for us. Higher
Bob the
electricity
Builder.
prices with full
Oh, nice
electricity
one.
is more
Good
likely.
memory lane.
Rest-
Bob the Builder. I like
I
that.
know, right?
I can. The song is in my head right now. Bob the Builder, man. Okay. Yes, yes. So if I'm to
Okay.
respond to my good friend Acadia, I would say, truth be told, all
Mm,
our government run, or should I say government managed services,
right.
com- common NIPOS, we could go as low as that,
Mm,
we could go
okay.
as low as that. Many countries will tell you that NIPOS logistics, postal services, it's not supposed to be a profit-making entity. The US loses billions every
Hmm.
year on their services. But what it entails is that it continues to create opportunity for businesses to transact, for
Right.
people to communicate, and that facilitates future returns. They were able to
Mm,
tax later the businesses that actually use these cheap services. So yes, Nigerian entities, government-run entities, are not profitable because everybody just expect government entities that are not usually profitable, but they can be, depending on how you set the parameters from the start. I was
mm,
reading about Botswana, how they built from
from
the
scratch.
70s, yes, from scratch. Of course, many of us have watched the movies, but beyond the movies, you go and get a book. There's a
Right.
book that talks about how Sasere Sekama, encourage his people to let go of, their diamond resources for the common good. And they eventually use that to
Hmm.
start build their economy. From scratch, they were only based on cattle. All they were sharing before was cattle, hides, and skin. That's all they had as a cash
That's
crop.
at the. Hmm.
But yes, as a then when they found diamond, they decided, okay, we'll use this judiciously. So in our own case,
Right.
we were not deliberate. So they
Mm,
invested in education, they invested in Energy, electricity. They invested in infrastructure, roads, and those things are now propelled them to where they are today. They did not,
Right.
for lack of a better word, I think maybe now I'm punching the Nigerianization policy of the early 60s, when we just had to get independent and let go of everything, we want to be a republic, we want nobody to be with us. Yes, we could have taken our time and gradually built a
Right.
capacity. I felt, and
Concurring with that.
this is me being very critical of Nigeria
Okay.
because I often am. We were in a rush, and we ended up putting a lot of maybe
Pressure.
not there's not so many qualified persons or capable persons to run this government
Mm.
because we're rushing to Nigerianize, and then we ended up having a culture of mediocrity that we are still struggling with now.
Mm.
So it's a harsh reality, it's a harsh call on all of us to say,
Okay.
okay, this is the problem. We made some
Right.
gaps, but can we correct it? But if we don't tell ourselves the truth, we can't even start to correct it. So
I
if you
like
look at it
I
in
like
this
that.
regard, yeah,
Mm.
if you look at it in this regard, we say
Mm-hmm.
that government entities should have invested at the early stage,
Mm-hmm.
and because the ROI on these things it takes time. So not
Right.
many companies are able to plan 10, 15, 20 years in advance or have the resources to wait that long.
Mm.
So it's governments and sizes that they can take off the loans and facilities or divert maybe resources from oil to invest in
Mm-hmm.
electricity. Maybe that would have been a good trade-off for Nigeria at the time when we had a boom in the 70s. If I
Okay.
invested now, the market can then maintain it, generate
Mm.
enough money to maintain and continue to add the little here and there. As the demands increase, you add more. But the initial investment is tough
Mm.
and it's not
Well,
easy.
well, indeed, we could go on and on and on and have this conversation, but as they say, time is not your friend when you're having those important conversations that will break bone.
Very true. Very true.
But before I let you go, I want you to help me in a minute or less. So, an average Nigerian comes up to you and just asks, when will the nation enjoy 24/7 uninterrupted power? When?
Mm,
What would your take be?
mm. I'm not a soothsayer and I'm not a prophet of doom. So I will
Okay,
not presume to know or have a good idea. But
fair
what I am
enough.
is an engineer and I can plan and project. And I can say that whatever timeline we put to it, we just
Right,
need to be able to have the resource to back it. And if we're limited in resource, we will be realistic about our time expectations because the scope is the scope. I'm talking about project
right,
management triangle now. Scope, time,
right.
and cost. If your scope is 24-hour power, you need to first know what is required. Now we're talking about metering. The next thing we need to talk about gas supply. We need to talk about how many power plants we need, how many
We
transmission
need.
line extensions. So when we know what that is, that's why we have to
And
phase it because you
and,
can't
and let me
phase
let
that.
me add this one. When are we also going to add solar to it? But you know what? So much conversation, so many things and so many
Yes,
angles we want to get
yes,
into.
yes.
But
So
time is not
if
our
our
friend.
scope is scope and our cost, our money is limited, then we have to be patient with the time
Mm, okay. So we shall be patient. Hopefully, we do not grow
and do
up
your part.
with.
And do your part by paying band aid bills.
See, those
Eventually, we
band
will all pay it. I
those
will be able to
band
pay.
A
Don't worry.
bills.
Don't worry. We'll be
Hmm,
able to pay.
yeah,
It's
we're
not easy,
paying.
and I can be honest. But it's also help us to cut costs. When you know you're paying a lot for power, you will not use power anyhow. You will be
Uh,
judicious in your use of power. You will actually,
okay.
use energy efficient bulbs. You would you not leave lights on unnecessarily. You won't want,
Mm-hmm.
you won't leave the AC on when you're not at home, no matter how hot it
Okay.
is. You adjust.
Lagos, there, Engineer Kunle is calling you out. No turning on of your utilities when you don't need to have them on. But we cannot say that about our freezers. But you know what? Well, I'm sure we'll be looking forward to having this conversation some other time.
Definitely.
Maybe in another direction. But it's
Yeah.
been an awesome time having this conversation with you. And I'm sure Lagos has also gotten some feedback as well and things that they need to start working on if they haven't. But thank you so much for giving us your time and sharing all that information today. I trust you'll have yourself a pleasant evening ahead.
You too, George. It's my pleasure to be with you. Hope to see you again
Thank
soon.
Most
Yeah.
definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And
Bye bye.
Lagos,